Okay, so now we're going to learn a little bit about the Parsha. I guess we'll start with the Komarna. It's usually where we more or less start. So the Komarna brings, Yaakov made an altar. So the Komarna says, today we don't have a physical altar. Anyway, it's very hard for us to picture and understand what was going on in the Beis Hamikdash, in the temple. We don't really get what was happening there. There was a revelation of unbelievable spiritual, what's the word? I guess spiritual uplift. Something going on that we cannot begin to understand. We'll talk about it when the time comes with Hashem himself, but everything there was exactly calibrated. It was all bringing a sacrifice was a big deal. And the person who didn't feel it inside couldn't really bring it. Didn't really work for him. That's usually the way it works. It's not for now. It's its own discussion. But anyway, the altar, we don't have an altar. So the Komarna, he says, but you can make an altar. Every person has the potential to create an altar. And really, every person, every day, we're creating an altar one way or the other way. The only question is to what is the altar? Is the altar to God? Or is the altar at the wrong side of the fence? Where's that altar going? So he says, first of all, he said, our sages tell us that a person's table when he's eating, where he eats, is compared to an altar. So he said, when a person is focused on at least a little spiritual during his eating, he eats kosher as well as he can, he makes a bracha on his food. All of that is something towards creating an altar. So the Kabbalah says, are you learning Torah on the table? And a person should at least try to learn Torah, or try to come up with something new, a new insight, if he can, if that's where he's holding. He said, if not, so that's not so great. He said, when you make this altar, he said, if you call out to Hashem by learning Torah, he says, and Yaakov called out to Hashem. So he said, by learning Torah, that's how you, as it were, call out to Hashem, and that's what creates the real altar. But when you eat, he says, we're supposed to do our best to at least imbue a little bit of spiritual content in where we're eating in the food, by some kind of Torah, some kind of thing, at least thinking and learning, at least something. That's the first thing he says. So number one, you have a choice every time we have some food. We should sit down. It shouldn't be. Should be with as much as we can when we can. Sit down and eat slowly, not in a rush. So we never remember did we eat. There's a story with the Chazon Ish. He doesn't know if he ate or not. Right? There was his wife gave him a food. So he was speaking with someone. He said, I don't know that if I ate or not. My mind is not on food. He said, but if my wife gave me food, probably I didn't eat. I imagine I didn't eat, so I'm going to eat. But you don't remember. Someone asked the Chazon Ish, how do I deal with my, I have a voracious appetite. I really like to eat, I overeat. So he said, I can't tell you how to deal with it, but I'll tell you one thing. The choice, he wasn't thinking about food. He was thinking about Torah. So if you're thinking a lot about Torah, it's not going to hit you so much. The food is not going to be the problem. If you're not focused on Torah, that's when it gets a little sticky. It gets not so easy to manage. How do I manage it? That's the first way of thinking. So there's another way also. Yeah. So there's something else here also. So the Torah is teaching a person how to serve God. So the Mizbeach, you have to make a Mizbeach. He said, how do I make a Mizbeach? He said, a Mizbeach is a broken spirit before Hashem. Broken heart, but a broken heart which is going to bring to positivity, not to bad, to good. It's going to bring to good. So a person, the minute he sees, so we often have this choice whether we like it or not. Rav Micha says, when you're not on the level, and it's not the right time, it's very often a bad idea to focus on negative. Because you're going to focus on negative, it's just going to drag you down. So what's the point? I'm going to be focused on negative, and it's going to just drag me down. It's not going to help me. It's not going to pick me up. It's not going to uplift me or enable me or nothing. So I'm not going to be wholly focused on negative till I'm holding by it, and I can. That's the danger. There's a tremendous danger. The minute I'm going to be, instead of working on positive and building, I'm going to work on contriteness and connecting to Hashem, so it's a dangerous place. You're in a place where there's a lot of depression, there's a lot of anguish. Like, that's a hard thing to switch around. Sometimes we have no choice. Either we're confronted by something which is negative, we suddenly realize, what everyone else realized, that we're not quite as perfect as we thought. There's a little drop, something not perfect. It's like, wow, it's really, sometimes it can be very hard to deal with that. Some people, they can't even, if you say any word of criticism, it becomes like, in the nicest way, the minute the guy gets it, I messed up, can't even deal with it. Can't deal. No, I can't mess up. I messed up. Everyone is different. The minute I find out, I realize I have something that's not 100%, it's not perfected. So I'm going to be hit with this broken spirit. So I have to use it right. The minute I have this, and sometimes we have to know, I have to realize also that when I feel so high, and I'm so in a place that's connected, I have to move forward. And there is a bechina where a zamra, where I'm focusing only on the good points. It's rare, but it can happen that it's overly much, and I need to sort of limit it. I can't be in a place where I'm so focused on good points that I'm not able to move forward. I'm in my good points, and I'm done, and I'm complacent. That's also not the idea. I've got to move forward. Again, everyone has to know where I am, how to do this, how to do it the right way. But there's a bechina where a person makes himself an altar to Hashem by using his brokenheartedness in a good way. That's why I said the truth is, if you think about this a little bit in depth, you'll realize that, listen, everyone has this opportunity for a good altar, a bad altar, also in this way. That I'm going to have times when I'm going to be in a place where I can be low with a brokenhearted feeling, and I have to know, hey, the truth is, the simple truth is that, if I don't use it right, I'm being lowered by it. I'm bringing this is an altar, which is not the right altar. It's an altar bringing going who knows where. Not good places. It's a an altar brings us closer to Hashem. That's what it's for. One of the things that the Mizbeach does. Brings us closer to Hashem. There's also good things, or it could be the opposite. Bring us closer to other things and do all sorts of not good things. It's our choice. She said, then Yaakov called out to Hashem, then the minute you have this right brokenheartedness and use it the right way, it will bring you to happy, joyous words of prayer to Hashem. Remember to talk to him and connect him in the right way. That's what the Komarna says. That's the first thing, that's one of the things that he says. So it says that Yaakov visited the city. Our sages tell us in the Medrash that he made tchumen. He made this rabbinic reality that within 2,000 amos is that's how much you can go. So it seems strange that he would specifically talk about this one mitzvah. And in general, first of all, for sure, he definitely kept all the halachas of Shabbos, not everything about Shabbat. So at least on some level. So the Tzaddik explains something very interesting. He says a few beautiful ideas. He said, first of all, you have to know that Yaakov's Shmir Shabbos, what that's teaching us is that his heart became sanctified with the holiness of Shabbos. His heart, his thoughts were in a place that's always with Hashem. That's what we call keeping Shabbos. Keeping Shabbos means we're bringing Hashem into us. We don't even necessarily focus and connect to it. That's what the Makor Chaim points out. He's one of the students of Rav Chaim Vital. He says something very beautiful. He says, you're trying to get an extra special neshama on Shabbos, right? I want a special neshama on Shabbos. That's what I'd like. He said, it has to do with how you act. How do I act? What do I do? He said, if you don't act properly, he said, you're not going to feel the neshama. It might be there, but you're not going to have a real way of connecting to it. It's going to be very hard for you. So that's the first thing to understand. That's what it means that Yaakov kept Shabbos. Now, why are we talking about tchumim? He says something very, very powerful. He said, you need to take the place and lift it up with the holiness of Shabbos. So he comes to Shechem. He buys a place to stay. He said, because you have to pay. He said, you have to pay. He said, Shechem was actually a place that was set aside for pain. That's what I say, just tell us in Sanhedrin. He said, that was the problem with Dinah happened there. Yosef was sold there, and the kingship of David also got split there. Yeah. So he said each of these three things what Tzaddik tells us represents something else. He says Dina represents illicit desire. Yosef represents jealousy. He said, and the king splitting off and making a different kingship represents honor, misuse of honor. So Yaakov wanted to subdue the problems here and make it as limited as possible. So he wanted to give us the ability to come to the source of life, to access the source of life, even throughout such difficulties. So he paid. That's also why Avram paid specifically for Maras Machpelah. He had to pay. Why did he have to pay for this cave of the patriarchs to be able to bury them there? He said the reason why is because there's a tremendous, there is a vast power in the form of Tzaddikim. So Tzaddik says that before there was a Beis HaMikdash, before there was a Mishkan, so the Shechina, the place where the Shechina rested was the farm of Tzaddikim. The Gross is also after. Or the place where when we don't have a Beis HaMikdash, the place where you're able to access. Where can I access? Where can I connect to the ore of the Shechina? So you go to the Kivri Tzaddikim. The Gross says if you want to feel the joy and the connection that every mitzvah gives you, go to the Kivri Tzaddikim. That's what he says in Tikkun Zohar. Go there and then you'll feel it. Otherwise you can't. That's why you had to pay. That's also why Yosef was buried in Shechem. And he's buried specifically in the place where Yaakov paid for. Again, this idea of having the Ashras Shechina, having the divine presence in a place where we have to pay. And it doesn't only mean money, although money is also very important to be able to give, to be able to give to attain holiness. It's not only that, giving of myself. I have to really give of myself. It's the same thing with the Mishkan also. It says you have to give your heart, right? But Truma, right? It says Truma basically, it says you give a Truma, so you have to give donations. And that has to also be with your heart. But if you don't give, you cannot be part of the Mishkan. You want to be part of the divine presence, you want to be part of the temple, you want to be part of the tabernacle, whatever you want to translate it. I said, you have to give. Why do you have to give? God has all the gold and silver in the world, everything's His. You have to give because that's how we create a place for holiness. David also, he said, I want to buy the place which will be the Beis HaMikdash. Why? He has to buy it because if he doesn't buy it, it's not going to be able to hold the holiness. That's the same thing. Yaakov came to this place and he brought Shabbos. It's the beginning of Tchumim. I want Shabbos, the main aspect of Shabbat. What Shabbat is picking up the place that I am. That's what it's about. That's one of the most important elements of what Shabbat is, and we have to work very much on this aspect of trying to bring Hashem into my machshava, my thoughts. On Shabbat especially, and in general, I want to remember Hashem. I want to connect Hashem in the innermost part of myself. That's the first aspect of Shabbat, and then we have this element of tchumin, of picking up Shabbat. And of course, the Komarna says, tchum is osius, chosem, the Ri and the Kamarna, that's chosem, it's you're sealed in, you're closing in. He says it's also tchum in general, the Kamarna says, is itself machshava. That's the thought. The person's supposed to have a tchum, he's supposed to have a place until where his thoughts go, and then he's done. He doesn't think about this and he doesn't think about that. His thoughts are focused the way it's supposed to be. And like I've said before, it's a very important idea. You have this aspect, the Maggid says, machshava is besimcha. The same letters that form machshava form besimcha, because the way we're able to be in joy is through the proper thought patterns. We have to learn how to have thought patterns that are positive and good, and not thought patterns that bring us down or negative. That's why the Mittler Rebbe points out, the Chabad, he says, you cannot, or maybe it's Tzemach Tzedek, I don't remember. Maybe it's Tzemach Tzedek. I think it's Tzemach Tzedek in a letter. He says, if you want to help someone who has a hard time with depression, it does not help to tell him one time a good word, or even for a while. He says, because he is used to having thought patterns that bring him to a place of negativity. He has to learn how to re-educate his thought patterns, re-educate himself to think different kinds of thoughts that bring him to happiness, not to depression. That's a lot of installments. It's not one time, oh, be happy, oh, it's enough. It's not enough. We have to work on it, and we have to internalize it until we merit it. It's one of the most amazing things that Rav Micha gives us is the ability to change completely our life view, totally change everything, so that instead of being negative or being down or being worried or I don't know what, it's positive, happy, good, and joyous. That's the difference. Fine. Very good. Now we're going to do a little bit of Zohar, B'ez Hashem. Yeah. So the Zohar explains that Yaakov, he turned to Hashem and he said, help, protect me from my brother. What's he afraid of? What's the problem? So Yehuda says, fortune is the one who's always afraid. Fortunate is the Jewish people that Hashem loves us, gave us the Torah, so we should attain the next world. Anyone who learns Torah draws upon himself supernal life and brings him into the next world. It says, because it is your life, and length of your days, your life in this world, length of your days in the next world, and through this you'll have length of your days. Yeah, but nevertheless, Yaakov he had a reason. He had a very good reason. We might even talk about the Chesed of Avram in a second. So Yaakov, he was the ultimate. You have Tzaddikim, the highest Tzaddikim. Even they don't decompose. They're at such a high level. They're on tremendous levels. We don't begin to understand this, where they are, how they are. So Yaakov was the tree of life. What was he afraid of? Who's going to stand up to him? Who's going to defeat him? Now we know that's not really true, because he had a problem. He had a few problems. We see he had some troubles. He had a lot of troubles. So it seems a little bit... that's what the Zohar is asking. Well, from his perspective, what was he worried about? If God said to him, I'll be with you, what's he afraid of? Hashem will be with him. It says that he's meeting, angels are meeting him. Wonderful. What could be wrong? What's he worried about? Eisav. What's Eisav going to do? Yaakov didn't want to rely on a miracle. That's what the Zohar says. From his perspective, he said, I don't want miracles. I want to have a miracle. He said, maybe I'm not worth it. Maybe I'm not meritorious enough to merit a miracle. First of all, I have several disabilities. Number one, I haven't been honoring my father and mother the last many years. Haven't been home. So when I was learning, okay, I'm not learning properly either. He said, and number two, in general, also I'm not learning Torah properly. I'm doing what I can while I'm watching the sheep, whatever it is, but I can't do it on the highest level. So there's something missing there. He said, also I married two sisters. It also wasn't so great. He had to, and Hashem told him to. Very nice, but in general, it's also something that could hold things back. So a person could be there's an aspect that's called a person's. He's turning to God and pray, always turning to Hashem and pray, saying, please help me. You've helped me till now. Please help me from now. I need your help. He has to see the negative and really use that to galvanize into prayer, to ask Hashem for help. Not to feel down, not to feel worried, but to say, help me here. Look where I am. Help me out. Okay, now, in terms of Yaakov, it's important to mention the Chesed of Avram. Learns from the Zohar, a beautiful thing. He says, Yaakov's life looks like a hard deal a little bit. It's very, very, very hard things going on. Dinah and then Yosef and all this, his wife, and all sorts of terrible things happened to him. You look at this and you say, wow, this is not a simple life he's living. So the Chesed Avram gives a very beautiful answer. He says the Yaakov's situation can be compared. He said because there was a decree that we were supposed to be 400 years in Egypt and we were not going to hack it. So the 400 years starts from Yitzchak's birth, right? From Yitzchak. How does Yitzchak's lifetime create 400 years? There was no exile. There was nothing. So he said it's like there was this tremendous beast that swallowed this warrior. So the warrior carves himself out a place in this beast's belly and he's fine. So it's the same thing. There was a decree. If they were righteous enough, they could just deflect it. So from Yaakov and on, Yaakov, because he was the one who was going to bring in the Jewish people in its form today. 12 tribes, no more Yishmael or Eisav kind of kids. Just bringing kids that are the way they're supposed to be. He had the biggest barriers. And any smallest little slip caused a very big repercussion because he was in this place. It wasn't generally because he deserved it, because he's building in this place. He's under this decree. So therefore, every little thing, really, it was very good that he was afraid because he was under this aspect where any little mismove is a big deal for him. Dinah, what happened with Dinah? What happened with her? So our sages tell us because Yaakov didn't consider giving her to Eisav. He wasn't willing to marry her. Maybe she'll make Eisav righteous. The author of Campground was like, do you think that he was allowed to give her to Eisav? I mean, Esav's already married. He's not a young man. He's a very wicked person. You can't give your youngest daughter to him. So what was he supposed to do? He can't give her to Eisav. So what's the criticism on Yaakov? So the author of Campground says, it's very simple. He had to close the box when he was hiding Dinah with regret. I wish I could give her to Eisav, maybe she'd turn him around. Instead he closed with his self-righteous indignation, and that was the end. Now you'll suffer. What I do? Okay. Because he's in this place where everything's very, very, very exacting. It's an exacting place. We'll continue with the next Zohar. Oh, this is a beautiful Zohar. He says, all of the prophets were not able to see what Hashem was going to do to Eisav except Obadia. Obadia, the Zohar says, was a convert from Eisav. He was able to see Yeah. He says, and generally speaking, prophecy didn't even weaken him. That's what the Zohar says. Unlike regular prophets. Very, very interesting. The truth is that usually, it's very unusual for a ger to have a prophecy. I don't know if we have any other well-known example of a ger that had a prophecy. It's very, very unusual because there are different rules of who can bring prophecy. It was not every person. Not so simple. So we see from the Zohar, really, and this is the Ber Moshe points out, so we see from many sources in our sages that a convert can break through all the things holding him up, can break through, can break out. We always have the ability to break out into when we're constrained, physically or spiritually, whatever it is, we have the ability to do things which are unbelievable. When we have barriers and we just keep moving and moving, we do much, much more than we can ever imagine. So,
when always compares Gerim Balichur.
Yeah, no, it's one Bechina in a certain way, for sure. Very, very much so. And that's definitely a true point, which is that when I messed up, when I've fallen, I have the ability to take that and make it into something positive and good. I don't have to leave it as negativity. I can change it around. If I want, I can. Of course, we're not supposed to be misusing this idea and saying, therefore, whatever I do doesn't matter because I can always turn it around. That's not so clear, but it's important to be aware that a convert is able to overcome the things, the limitations, the things holding him back. Yeah, that's the story with the with Avram. Ben Avram, right? He was a ger tzedek. He was a ger who was caught, as it were. It was illegal to be a convert. A convert to Judaism had a death sentence. He was from a noble family, and he was like, no, I actually know someone who is a direct descendant. His wife ran away, and he's in England, and he's direct descendant of this Yid, this person. So Avram ben Avram, and Avram ben Avram, he said, the Gra sent him. He would refuse, totally refuse it. I'm not converting. I'm not going back. I'm not recounting. I'm not nothing. I'm just Jewish. You can do with me what you want. So they were like, listen, you're going to be burned at the stake unless you say what you say, that you want to be, you want to change back, you want to this. So the Gra actually sent him in prison. He said, I can get you out. I have ways to get you. I have my methods to get you out. So he sent back, no. He said, ever since I'm converted, I'm very bothered about what do I do with this body. He said the soul is set up, but what do I do with this? What do I do with the body? It's very not simple. He said now I have a chance to deal with the body, and you're trying to as it were save me. I don't want to be saved. I want to be like helped, like really deal with the body. The Kloisenberger would like to say the story, and he would say, "What do we do with this body? Like the body is like really, it's not easy to deal with this body. The body is very it holds us back. We have to learn how to fire ourselves up for Hashem." So that's another point that I wanted to make in the Zohar. Another point that the Zohar says is that the songs of David HaMelech, the songs that he wrote in Tehillim and Psalms, these are very, very powerful protections for a person. They create a surrounding light, and they protect a person from all bad, from all difficulty. When a person is saying Tehillim is when we're in trouble, when we have it hard. When we have it hard and it's difficult, we have to use Tehillim. Tehillim is a very, very wonderful thing. Very wondrous thing. I guess I'll just tell the story. There's one story I like to tell about Tehillim. One of the stories I like to tell about Tehillim, there was a certain girl who, she was in a town that was far away from anything too central. It was like a little town, and they had a little yeshiva there, a little place to learn, and she went there. And she got really inspired, and she's like, you know what, I want to keep Shabbat. So she went to her parents, and she said, I'd like to keep Shabbat. Is that okay? Like, what are you, crazy? You're being brainwashed? He's like, no, it's okay. I was just thinking, you don't care. What are you nuts? Kids she saw that, there's no way. The only thing she's going to do, to tell us to keep Shabbat, two things. First of all, they'll force her not to keep it, and second of all, they'll take her out of school. So she's like, forget it. I'm just going to leave it. Okay, so she's keeping Shabbat to the best of her ability. Okay. Several months later, her parents are like, we're going away for Saturday, so we would like you to take over the store. And she's like, she can't say anything. She's like, okay, whatever. So she sets it up before Shabbat. It should be all set up, so it should be, she leaves a key, and she leaves lights on, whatever. So she comes in on Shabbat, and she's like davening, she's taking to her Tehillim. She's like, I don't know what to do, because I don't know what I'll do if a customer comes in. I'm not allowed to sell anything. Shabbat, you can't sell things on Shabbat. On the other hand, so what can I do? Anyway, she's davening the whole day, saying this Tehillim, saying the Psalms all day long, all day. It's getting late, and as it's getting later, she's like, my parents are not going to believe I was here, because no one's come in, which is also amazing, but they're not going to believe I'm here. I was here. They're going to say, you kept that Shabbat after, because they never forgot, for sure not. It's that one day they didn't make any money, no customers. They're not going to believe me. So she's davening, I don't know what to do. You can do anything. And she's just saying it to him. And this customer walks in, he looks well-to-do. He's looking around, he sees something he really likes, a little bit of expensive item. He's like, can I buy this? I'm looking for this, can't find it. She's like, well, there's a technical problem. We can't really sell things right now. He's like, well, how much is it? She's like, it doesn't matter. We're not going to sell it. And he's like, no, I'll give you, he offered a very nice price. He's like, I'm very sorry. There's a problem with the register, whatever. I just can't sell them, whatever. So he offered double the price. He offered another big price. And another, she's like, I cannot sell because, whatever, this and that. Okay, so he says, whatever. So he walks out. And she's doubting. She doesn't know what she's going to do. She's doubting. Finally, Shabbos is over. No more Shabbat. Shabbat's done. It's the night already. And she doesn't know what she's going to do. She figures she'll probably close down pretty soon, whatever. What she'll tell her parents, she has no idea. And the guy walks back in. He says, I'll give you one final offer. She said, no. I'll sell it the first offer. I didn't take the offers, not because they weren't good, but because I'll tell you now, with Shabbat, it was a little awkward for me to tell you with Shabbat, and I don't sell stuff and things, but like, it's Shabbat, and I wasn't going to sell you, but now it's after Shabbat, I can sell you, no problem. That first price was very generous. He said, no, I don't like for money. We put down the last price. He said, I took the thing. And it was like double what they made in a day, that one sale. And she's like, so her parents come and she's so like amazed. She said, wow, we made like twice as much in that one sale, and look what Hashem did. We said it to Tehillim. I said Tehillim, and her parents were so amazed. They also started to keep Shabbat. That was like so that's the power of Tehillim. Tehillim has a tremendous power to really bring whatever one person's needs. When we need, we're in trouble, we say Tehillim, and Hashem takes care of everything. Rav Nachman says Tehillim has the power to bring to tshuva and to connection. Hashem should help us be zocha. We should hold on and keep connected to Shabbat and all the good things. Be'ez Hashem.